You have 77 counties in Oklahoma. I can put reports in them in 66 counties.
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was?
I'd say it was a person or somebody really big. But he's all in black.
Welcome to the first episode of Squatch Ranger Files, the show where you email your own Bigfoot encounter or Bigfoot account. We keep these stories coming from the state of Oklahoma. I'm also opening it up for Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, and New Mexico. All you have to do is submit a detailed story to the following email, squatchranger@gmail.com. It's on your screen right now. Email your account, and we will try to include your story in the next episode. Bluff Charge at Large, submitted by RW20. I've always been interested in the unknown, or mysteries, since I was a teenager. I'm in my mid-30s now, and the subject of Bigfoot has fascinated me the most since I watched my very first documentary on the Discovery Channel somewhere around the late 90s. Fast forward to 2015, and now I'm just starting to explore the idea of participating in Bigfoot expeditions. An expedition experience includes camping in the woods with a guide for a few nights, walking around base camp in the dark while making calls, wood knock simulations, and just listening for any sounds that may be out of the ordinary, or a few techniques that we used to try and lure in a curious unknown creature for a close encounter. In June 2015, I went on my very first Bigfoot expedition in southeast Oklahoma in Lafleur County, near the community of Honubby. If you sound out how it is spelled, it would sound like Ho-no-bia, but the local pronunciation is Honubby. On my first expedition, during our first night investigation, we had a possible rock thrown into our base camp. Something was definitely thrown, but from what? It's hard to say. There were other people staying on the main grounds near our base camp. Would they be up around midnight? Would they throw rocks at strangers on purpose in the dark? Who knows? I'm neutral on this account. Now, on our second day investigation, I heard a couple of sounds that were interesting during the afternoon around 2 p.m. The sound was a response to a call that we made while up on a mountain. The sound was coming from way off in the distance. It's hard to say what it was exactly, but it was definitely interesting. Now, moving on for my main encounter that happened on my second Bigfoot expedition in October of 2015. Once again, I returned to Lafleur County in southeast Oklahoma to the community of Honubby. Our guide pointed out some possible eye shine back in an area of some thick trees. Two other people, besides me, saw the light shining. It was very strange. I would describe it as a white light with a blue tint to it. To me, the light moved almost in a swaying, back and forth motion that would match the swaying of an upright creature, such as Bigfoot. We never heard any sounds associated with the light. Later, we divided up into 3 groups. I was partnered with our main guide of the expedition. I'll call him Trey. Trey and I were following a main trail. We were walking in total darkness with no use of our flashlights. Trey decided we should take a shortcut and try to intercept another one of the groups who are also on a main trail. We hiked off trail through some thick, heavy brush. After a few minutes, Trey had to stop for a bathroom break. The second we stopped for the bathroom break, out of nowhere, we hear heavy movement in the brush. The movement is heading straight towards us. Automatically, in my mind, I think of the very first animal that makes sense to me to be out in the woods. My very first thought was a deer. The deer was running straight towards us and was going to trample over us in the pitch black dark. I immediately ran for cover behind my guide, Trey, for protection. These footsteps get closer and closer, and to my relief, we hear the footsteps take an immediate turn to our right, and they vanished as they continued running. Whatever it was, never made any audible sounds for us to hear for identification. If this were a human trying to hoax us, or even play a prank on us, they would need some high-quality night vision to be able to run in the complete darkness without ever running into a tree or without tripping. There are many natural obstacles on the forest floor for anyone to trip over. This is why I rule out a hoax. So, thinking back to my deer theory doesn't make a lot of sense either. Deer usually will not run towards another animal that could be a possible threat. Also, we had been in this particular area for a couple hours already, driving four-wheelers, talking, walking through thick brush, and crunching leaves. All of these sounds would probably scare deer out of the area. I will also rule out the deer theory. The only other two animals that make sense to me are wild hogs and black bear. It very well could have been either of these animals, except for the fact that we never heard any noise, which is also strange, but not out of the realm of possibility. I'm still neutral about whatever ran towards us in the dark, being a Bigfoot. Trey, the expedition guide, concluded that it may have been a juvenile Sasquatch bluff charging us. He thought they were possibly playing a trick on us, for juveniles are known for being very playful with humans while having fun. Whatever it was that night, I know this: it scared me. It had my adrenaline pumping. I can't wait to go on another expedition and explore some more. Next time that I'm bluff charged, I'll be ready. Hey, turn on the TV. Submitted by J. Minister Metal Detect. Somewhere around 2010, me and one of my buddies went hunting on a public hunting area in Cherokee County. We drove to the very back of the property, and it was an evening hunt. We were the only ones anywhere even close to the area, because there was only one way in and one way out. We separated by about a quarter of a mile or so, and while hunting, I keep hearing this banging on a tree. I didn't have any idea what it was, and then later, when I met back up with my buddy, he asked me if I had heard the banging, and I said, yeah, I heard it. And we were wondering what it was. We thought it was just someone out there hitting a tree. And he said another weird thing that happened was that he had a rock thrown at him while he was sitting up next to the tree. Well, we drove on out, and about a month or two later, my buddy calls me up on the phone and says, "Hey, turn on the TV." And he goes, "This is what happened to us." All of this happened before we knew anything about tree knocking or rock throwing. Now we're watching a show on TV, and the show started talking about how Bigfoots like to take branches and hit trees and throw rocks at people. And that's exactly what had happened to us just a few months before that. We couldn't believe what we were hearing. This was all new to us. We weren't sure if it was really a Bigfoot out there on the hunting land just a couple of months ago, but we were sure having a hard time coming up with a solid explanation. The sounds were similar to a woodpecker, but these noises sounded so much larger than what a woodpecker could produce. I'm always going to wonder what we heard out there that day. Maybe, just maybe, it could have been a Bigfoot. The following is a BFRO documented report. Woman has sighting through dental office window. My sighting happened on November 21st, 2002, on or about 7:30 a.m. in Catoosa, Rogers County, Oklahoma. I work in a dental office and happened to look out my window and saw what I automatically knew was a Bigfoot or Sasquatch walking beside an abandoned house. It was very dark brown or nearly black. It had a thick neck with broad shoulders and had a wide skull. It was at least 7 feet tall. I only saw the backside of the animal. I can best describe it as a primate-looking animal that stood more upright than a gorilla, but somewhat stooped. It slowly swung its arms and had a slight knee bend. I had not seen anything about the Bigfoot or heard anything. It just happened, and I knew instantly what it was. There were no other witnesses, but I immediately called for my coworkers and told them to come quickly, that I had just seen a Bigfoot. Follow-up investigators report. I talked to the witness about her sighting. She was adamant about what she saw and was able to provide me with the following additional details. The animal appeared to have a swayed back. It took long strides as it walked away. It swung its arms widely. The animal was at a distance of about 30 to 40 yards. It had a quick pace. The animal was extremely broad in width. From the vantage point of the witness, the animal's abdominal area seemed to slightly bulge. If her view were to be to the face of a clock, she would have been roughly at the 7 o'clock position of the animal as it walked. She did not see the face and could provide no details about the hands or feet. No one thought to look for tracks afterward. The witness told me that until her sighting, she had never really thought much about Bigfoots or Sasquatches. However, she said the animal that she saw was instantly recognizable to her as a Bigfoot. She said that she wasn't really afraid when she saw it, but she did get excited. The witness told me that the animal was walking beside an old house. The animal's head was just below the fascia, which would have indicated a height of 7 to 8 feet. The witness's husband urged her to file her report with the BFRO. Her coworkers still make light of her sighting, but the witness emphatically told me that she is not prone to making up stories. She saw what she saw.